This week on New to You, Watering Hole, Part 3, The Battle at Kruger. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the New to You Show. I'm one of your guests, John Holt. One of your hosts, John Holt. With me is
your other host, Julian Cage.
And our guest host for the third round of this pick,
Casey Drogan.
All right, Casey, welcome back, man.
Good to be here.
Right.
And
3 weeks in a row.
And sadly,
Howdy.
once again, Keith is not here.
Because he is at his own little watering hole.
He's a watering a-hole.
He's watering a hole. If you know what I'm saying.
We miss you, Keith.
Come back. All right. So far we have discussed Deep Space Nine, the Space Bar. We have discussed Crowd Crush, the Liverpool Muslim Mecca pilgrimage Great White Concert
Disaster.
party trick that people can do. And this week we are wrapping up our topic with a pick from Jules. This is a rate and review podcast where we talk about all kinds of media and experiences, and they may be new to us or not. They may be new to you or not, but you know what? You're experiencing them through our eyes. That's right. You can feel the crowd crush.
And voices.
Yeah.
Hear the crowd crush.
Mostly through your ears.
Through our eyes to your ears.
Crush your ears full of liquid information.
Our synesthesia is getting you good. All right, Jules, why don't you get into your pick for watering?
Right over there, and they're very intently watching the buffalo, who are moving right over there. This could be very interesting.
All right, so my pick is I went, I was sort of the last one to get it in. I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go quite literal. And it was actually the first thing I could think of, but I was like, no, that's stupid. I shouldn't do that. But I just couldn't think of anything better. So there you go. This is how you get this awesome. No, actually, so my pick is Battle Like Kruger, which is a YouTube, it's a viral video, I would say, and it was released in 2007, which was kind of early days for YouTube. It had only been around for a couple of years, and it was one of those first handful of like really huge viral videos that like it just made the rounds, and that was now like over 10 years ago, and I still remembered it. Like, that's how good this video is. I'll briefly describe it. It's an amateur video. There was a guy on safari in South Africa. He just got very lucky and just got to witness, this incredible drama. Like nature, nature can be dramatic, and there's a lot of nature documentaries that, certainly spend a lot of time and effort to showcase that, and narration, yeah. But this one, it's just some guy with a cheap camcorder on a safari, and he just got really lucky and just witnessed, like, you couldn't write a better script kind of thing.
It's like Cloverfield.
Yeah, and it's
with the wildebeest.
Yeah, and it just has this natural like rhythm and tension, and the video is 8 minutes long, which for a viral video is pretty long, and and it's all one take, no editing or anything, but you're like riveted the entire time. It doesn't matter how many times I watch it, every time I'm just like glued to the screen, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe this. And I think also the fact that it was so immediate, and everyone, like, you can hear everyone's talking, or the guy who's filming it and everyone around him, and you can hear their reactions, and they're real time, and they're realizing what's going on, and so it's sort of a narration, but not really,
right.
and you just feel like you're right there with them.
It's like not until later on, where I don't know if they like ran out of rendering money, that you realize that it's all like CG, but it's really well done CG for just like a YouTube video.
No, it is not CG. Okay, it's real. Okay, it's real. So I'll describe, the kind of the general events. So they're watching. So they just make a pit stop on this tour. So they're in Kruger National Park in South Africa. on a safari. They park the jeeps, I think, because there's always because it's a watering hole. There's always some kind of animal there.
Right.
They noticed first they noticed a herd of Cape buffalo. They're these big, beautiful, majestic beasts with horns, and they're making their way. Like a troop of them, a small group of them is making their way to the watering hole. But then they noticed, oh no, there's like lions there. There's like
in
a
the
couple
tall
lionesses.
grass, yeah.
There's lionesses. And then they're kind of, and the camera kind of like swings back and forth between all the parties, kind of building the tension. And they're like, oh, they're noticing them. And then you see the lions like crouch down, and it's like they can see this is about to happen, but like the water buffalo have no idea.
Yeah, there's like lions kind of peeling around to get in position.
It's
Yeah.
like perfect Hitchcock.
Yeah, suspense. And then all of a sudden it's like, boom, the lions bolt into action, and the water buffalo hightail it the other way, but they manage to pick off one of the smaller like babies, like baby buffalo.
The calf.
And then they kind of wrestle it's like 3 or 4 lionesses, and they wrestle it, and they're right on the edge of the water, and they kind of like fall into the water, but they finally all gang up on it in the water, and that's it. They've gotten. They're like, oh no, this is like going to be bad. And then they're kind of struggling still and trying to pull the buffalo out of the water. And you think like, wow, this is amazing. Like this can't get more incredible. And then all of a sudden, like there's some like thrashing and splashing, and you're like, what? And then like one of the person in the video is like, oh, there's a crocodile, or is it an alligator? Maybe an alligator.
I believe it's a crocodile.
Is it an alligator? I don't know. Which one is it?
I believe it was a guy in a crocodile suit.
Alidile.
One of the rangers.
Hold on, I gotta look at this
One
up.
of the
I always
rangers
mess
trying-
up crocodiles
He
and
was trying to sell
alligators.
some bushmeat.
I think it was a shark.
Um,
Was it a freshwater shark?
Yeah, I believe it was a.
it's a crocodile.
Oh.
So it's a crocodile. I had it right. And so a crocodile is then like also snapping at the hind legs of the baby buffalo, trying to to be
Pull
like,
it in the
hey,
water.
free bait, and pulling it into the water. So then the lions and the crocodile are wrestling over this thing, and finally the lions win, and the crocodile, and they pull it out of the water. And then you think, oh wow, like that's it, So
Feast time, yeah.
they start to like the lionesses lay down around the baby buffalo. It looks like they're going to start feasting. And then they start to notice like, oh, but there's the water buffaloes are coming back, and it's like this time it's like a bigger herd of I think males or something, and they're like, but then there's kind of the tour guide guy is kind of speaking up, and he's like, oh, it's too late, kind of thing. Like he's like, they've come back, but they can't do anything, kind of thing. But then they keep coming closer and closer, and they look like they mean business, and there's kind of like a tense moment where there's a standoff, and you're like not sure what's gonna happen, and then all of a sudden one of the buffaloes rushes in and just like throws one of the lionesses with his horns, and you're just like, what? This is amazing. And then like little by little they like pick off all the rest of the lionesses,
Kinda shoo 'em away.
and the baby buffalo stands up and like rejoins the
Limps back,
herd,
yeah.
and then they don't stop there. They keep going until all the lions are scared and scatter. And so the water buffalo are victorious in the end. And it's like, and that's the end, and it's incredible. So this amazing piece of drama was caught on tape, and then at first, and you even hear the guy at the end of the tape, one guy to the other was like, "Oh, you could probably sell that tape," kind of thing, because they realize after the moment how incredible this thing was. And so I did a little research about it, and he actually initially, because he shot it in 2005 and it didn't get released on until 2007, so he actually he was like, "Hey, do you try to sell it to people? Like, hey, do you want this?" And everybody turned him down because they're like, we don't want
we don't take amateur footage.
Yeah, we don't want amateur videos or whatever. Then 2 years later, he's like, oh, well, whatever. I'll just post it online because this is cool. And the video just goes nuts. It's everywhere. There's
77 million views.
Yeah, and then it's it's features on all kinds of programs and newspapers, magazines. Articles are written about it. And then at that point, then all of a sudden people are interested, and National Geographic ends up buying the rights to it and like kind of milking this 8-minute video into like an hour-long documentary, which just adds stuff you don't need. Like,
Right.
Like the 8-minute video is perfect.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like we're gonna show you at the end of this program the entire unedited, fully digitally remastered cut of Battle at Kruger's.
Of this video you've already seen 20
Yeah,
times.
we're
Did they
gonna
get
take
in-
clips of all of it and have interstitials and talk about all this stuff and blah blah blah.
Did they get an interview with a lion with like its eyes blurred and its
Yeah,
voice
like-
like distorted?
I really thought we were going to get him, but, yeah, my children didn't eat that day.
Oh, I made a lot of mistakes that I regret in life, but I
But not trying to kill that baby buffalo. It had it coming.
That wildebeest.
And did you see
was
the way
very
it was
selfish.
walking?
did just see the way it was walking. Do you think that baby buffalo learned its lesson? Like, do you think?
I wonder if it survived. I mean, it got bit
Yeah.
and cut up probably.
Yeah, it
really
learned its
bad.
lesson. It never drank again.
Yeah, it never went near water.
It died of dehydration.
Yeah.
6 days later.
Sadly, no, it just would only drink Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
The gods must be crazy.
Really did it.
Anyway.
So when did you first see this video? Did you see it in like the aughts?
Yeah, I think I saw it, when it came out. I was at work I don't actually remember where I was.
2007, you're probably at Curious at the time.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I was at Curious Pictures. And, the video was just making the rounds and, we were all gathering around the digital water cooler and watching this video and talking about it. Yeah, and it's I think it's timeless. That's part of I think not all viral videos are timeless, although the best ones are. My other, I think it's my all-time favorite viral YouTube video is the It Hurts video where, little brother's...
Oh, Charlie bit my
yeah,
finger.
Charlie
Yeah.
that one just gets me every time. It's just so good. It's just so
I know
good.
exactly.
So Casey, had you seen this video before?
Oh, I sure had. Yeah.
What about the time it came out too?
Yeah, it came out in 2006 or 7, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I was in my, I was probably like 12 or 13. This is like right when YouTube was still was like, this is like when YouTube was like pretty new, and I was still kind of like getting used to the idea of like YouTube in general. And then this video came out, and I was like, wow, 8 minutes, that's a long video. And I was watching it with my other middle school friend, and he was the one who actually showed it to me, and I live with him now. And he was the one who showed it to me, and he's like, dude, you gotta come see this. And I was like, I don't, I'm busy. I don't have time to like watch like an 8 minute, you know what I mean? I have like middle school things to be doing. And yeah, and for some reason it was just like this in rap. There was just something about it. It was the perfect story. It was perfectly paced. There was always a new development. There was always a new plot twist. It just blew my mind. Yeah, when I first saw it. Yeah.
And the breathless commentary and everything. It's
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it makes me sad that like cameras are ubiquitous. They're just everywhere now.
Really?
You just can't get away from this. Like, you just can't have there can't be drama without just somebody throwing their camera in somebody's face and this whole thing going on.
right. Buffalo trying to get something to drink.
Yeah.
And the lion's trying to have
everyone's
a meal.
everyone's just trying to do their nature and
Yeah, now the lion's like taking a selfie with the baby buffalo and
yeah.
posting it on Instagram, and it's like, and and that these guys who pay good money to be on that safari like don't want to see,
Right.
Animals using a bunch
Well,
of
again, because like
smartphones.
the first season of Kruger was like it was a real social experiment. Like it was, like you get these animals around a watering hole, and they just got to be real. But then, like once you get to like season 3, yeah, they kick that one guy out of the watering hole. But like for the
They
most
start having
part,
cooking
it's all
competitions.
kind of
Very hacky.
stagey and like it's just it's like I don't know. I mean, at least there was no veneer when it was like Safari Challenge, where they were just like everybody was in a van going from location to location, trying to cross the desert. Like it was, I don't know.
I just watch it for the commercial.
But also, I mean, they should just show videos again, music videos with birds doing it.
That reminds me. Did you guys hear the crazy story about that Eden show? It was like a British reality TV show where it was called Eden because basically the lofty concept was that it was similar to Survivor or something where you just take a bunch of people or not Survivor. There's a new another survival show where they have a bunch of people who have to aren't given a lot and have to survive.
Right? Yeah, like literally like survive or die.
Yeah, it was kind of that thing, but this was more long term, and the reason it was called Eden, it was kind of like take a bunch of people that have, they looked for people that had special skills that were complementary, and the idea was to create take people back to basics and to create the hope was that they would build their own culture, kind of, or rebuild their own society.
Using what we know now to build from the ground up.
Exactly.
So we got eaten by lions.
No. So they're actually on some remote place in Scotland or something, and like just on some big empty property that used to be like marshlands or something. And but it was fascinating because it's one of those where there was, I think, a first season aired, but then it was canceled. But the people in the show didn't know they were canceled, and so when that kind of became the story that when that was kind of spread around that like there were these people on this show that had been canceled. But it turns out that was not really totally accurate because I think they might have been informed that like the second season might not be aired or stuff like that anyway.
Right.
But essentially it became kind of, things did not go as planned, and there was like a couple of long read articles kind of describing the whole how everything went down, and it sort of like quickly devolved basically. And like there were like factions formed, and then also like there were like resentments with the show producers, and at some point like everyone kind of turned against the show and people tried to escape and all this crazy stuff. So there was a lot of like interesting drama around this, this thing that started high concept, kind of lofty, kind of hopeful, and it was a new production company a production company that was new to reality TV shows, and it just like the whole thing went south. And so the second season ended up getting released after they were out, and it was called something like, it was much shorter, and it was basically just kind of showing the unraveling of the whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a pretty fascinating story. But yeah, I mean, honestly, like this watering hole thing, like there were stories in there that was very primal stuff going on.
Yeah.
This trio of guinea pigs that got owned, that was owned by an acquaintance of mine who lived in the same apartment complex as me, and he had three guinea pigs in this little cage. And the thing was, he was a heavy drinker and he was a heavy partier. So the thing with guinea pigs is you got to put a little blanket over the cage at night so that they know when to go to sleep. He would just leave the blanket on for like weeks at a time, and not feed them. So these guinea pigs are just living in darkness and starving to death.
No.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Yeah. So one day he remembers to take the blanket off, and one of the guinea pigs, and I remember his name was Wolverine, had eaten the face off of one of these other guinea pigs. No. Just eating its face off, just like so. So you had this little bloody headless guinea pig just like lying like with like the little water dropper dripping onto its stump, and this other guinea pig is like bathing in its blood. It's like this crazy like guinea pigs are vicious little creatures. So this guy Troy,
when you turned them insane,
when you push them to the brink.
Yeah, when you put them in a dark cage and you don't feed them,
and you give
and you put seasoning on the face of one of them.
And you give Wolverine a John Travolta haircut and have him star in a guinea pig face-off
And you get drunk
movie.
and you're like, you know what? I think I can put X-Acto blades on Wolverine's little feet.
Yeah, so my friend was keeping 3 guinea pigs in a microwave for, and so then he had to go back to home for like, it was like Christmas or something. So he was gonna be home for a couple of weeks. So he packs up his little cage.
He brought them home?
So yeah, he drives them home because he didn't like have anybody who was gonna like
Did he
feed him or
take care
something.
of the dead one, or did you just leave it in the cage?
Oh no, so he got exactly. Yeah, no, he just he saved money on kibbles and bits for his guinea pigs for the next couple of weeks. So he's driving back in the car and he's got the little hood over the cage, right? He just posts the whole cage in his car. And when he gets back home a couple hours later, he takes the blanket off, and Wolverine's covered in blood and he's eating the face off the other guinea pig.
What? Yeah,
So this guinea pig just viciously, like, with his boiling red eyes, just ate the shit out of these other 2 guinea pigs in total darkness. You know what I mean? He must have been listening to like loud music, because I was like amazed that he didn't even like hear this going on in the back. So and so at this point, Troy looked at me and he was like, "Yeah, dude. So death sentence." And he picks up Wolverine and flushed him down the toilet alive.
What a monster.
I know, dude.
that's horrible.
I mean, I would have at least gotten a bunch of little ones and see, like, if just like one by one, if they could fight. Like, who can fight Wolverine.
Was he still like
He could have struggled
tiny
a
and
little
hungry?
bit.
I feel like a guinea pig would just like get stuck in your toilet.
Nah. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I don't
that's
think.
like a-
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. I mean, because a guinea pig. I mean, I don't
Maybe
know.
they're mostly hair.
Yeah, you know what I mean. It's like, because a lot of those
Well,
things,
also,
like
if you
cats can
starve
fit
them and all
really
they've eaten are faces, it's a pretty lean guinea pig. Jesus Christ.
That's true. The face diet, very effective.
face
Yeah.
time, very effective.
Hey, skinny bitch. Eat the face off of other women.
Great new diet.
Yeah, and
You
then
wanna-
they'll be lighter too.
Why don't you come to dinner with me?
I'm starving.
Yeah. Put some Old Bay on your face.
What's with all these curtains?
Shh.
It's dark in here.
You're like drinking from a giant
I know.
water bottle.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That would be amazing though if that was like that was how our court system worked. Where the judge was like death sentence, and then a giant robotic hand like
Flushes
reaches
you
through
down
the
the toilet.
Flushes you down a giant toilet. Yeah.
takes you and drops you to.
You have
Yeah.
been sentenced to turd.
Somewhere Wolverine is like albino and 6 feet long and
Yeah.
wandering in New York City.
They hand you a catalog and
Sewer
you're like,
system.
why did
He's
you give me this?
He's riding an alligator.
Yeah, exactly.
There's like a stack of headshots and they're like last meal.
Or he's like wandering in Italy like Hannibal Lecter at the end of the Silence of the Lambs with like a hat and listening to classical music. He's like waiting to strike again.
Is that what Wolverine's doing now, or
Yeah,
is he
exactly.
like? There's like they start finding faceless alligators in the sewers.
That's right.
Oh man,
In the trail of wood chips.
I think that's like your buddy's gonna wake up one day without a face, or his like
Exactly.
20 years from now, his like he'll hear like scrabbling and like go to open the curtains. He's like, who closed the curtains? And he'll look, and his wife is just got no head, and Wolverine's like sitting on her chest, like.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say that it turned out his wife had been Wolverine all along.
Yeah.
His wife
She
away.
pulls away.
She pulls the way. She pulls the wife's
the
face
face
off.
off. Or he eats his way out.
Were the water buffalo selfish to not let the lions eat them?
Well, they were just protecting their own.
Yeah.
But sometimes the lions win, sometimes the buffalo win. Just the way it
No,
goes.
but
And
the-
sometimes the crocodile wins.
I think the crocodile always is like SOL.
He was.
They just hope someone flushes a hamster or a guinea pig.
Yeah.
Is there anything comparable in other like documentaries or similar material that you would that like even hits this level of?
Well, I did think of another like African like animal related watering hole thing. There was like some researchers or something had placed a camera on an elephant's tusk as a way to like kind of capture like kind of see the world through an elephant's eyes, like a GoPro type thing.
Their eyes aren't on their tusks though.
I know. An elephant's perspective. Because for the most part,
And
the images ended up being really fascinating because for the most part, like nobody in the animal kingdom like messes with elephants.
Right.
Like, they're just
They just
because
kinda
they're
do
so
their thing.
huge. Yeah, they just kind of do their thing and everybody's cool with them. So they had all these amazing photos, and a lot of them were from when the elephants were at watering holes. They were just across from other animals, and it was like everyone and anyone from the animal kingdom, and they were just like everybody, and it was all like super chill. So that also came to my mind when I heard watering hole
I mean, elephants just
was that
check
cool
their
that cool
privilege.
thing. Like those
Like
stories
they can
were
walk
awesome.
in and do what they want, but like
That's
it's because they're elephants. You know what I mean? Like there's a certain point where not
Yeah.
everyone can.
Yeah.
Not everyone can have that level of comfortability in our society.
It's true, and they don't even know it.
Check your white elephant privilege.
Well, that's why man is here to keep it in check,
Oh, that's true.
to put it
To-
in its place by taking its tusks and
make
putting
it-
cameras in there instead.
Yeah, or make pianos out of them.
That's right. Yeah, and a wastebasket out of his dumb feet. His big dumb feet.
Poor elephant.
Yeah, and now they're remaking Dumbo.
Really?
Yeah.
Live action this
Really?
time?
I think it's Tim Burton.
Is it gonna be played by a Volkswagen
guess.
Beetle with elephant ears?
I was gonna guess Christopher Nolan.
Maybe. I don't know, but they'll definitely be. I mean, I guess the only good thing I'm sure there'll be some really insane elephant on parade sequence with Tim
And
Burton.
it's gonna be Johnny Depp as a Humpalump and Woozle.
That probably.
No, he'll get the dude who played all the Oompa Loompas in. They'll like all be all the Humpalumps and Woozles.
They'll
And,
just have like big ears like strapped
Yeah.
to their heads.
and was it the Johnny Depp will be the mouse? He'll just like he'll have a giant Johnny Depp head with like mouse teeth, and like
And-
he'll be like CG'd out the wazoo. And then who will be the Ravens? Hello, Bonham Carter.
No, that'll also be Johnny Depp as his he'll retake his role from Lone Ranger.
Oh, nice.
reprises roles of laundry.
Yes.
Similar outfit. you know.
Yeah, but oversized head.
Yeah, oversized head, of course. And Helen Bonham Carter will be.
The mom?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Mom elephant?
Yeah, because she dies. It's tragic.
Ooh, it's tragic.
Is it going to be as short as the original Dumbo? Because the original Dumbo is like 70 minutes long. It's
I know.
barely a
A
feature.
great length. Yeah, no, this one will probably be 2 hours and 70 minutes.
They're gonna get that R. Kelly track that they used at the end of Space Jam in there.
Yes, they will probably do that.
I can't help but to go around. Is that how that goes?
Yeah, what's hilarious is that for some random reason, my French niece and nephew would sing that song all the time.
In French?
No, like in broken English, and just the refrain because that's all they knew. And I think I couldn't quite figure out, but I think they heard it like as from like some parody video on YouTube of someone else singing that song. So like and like my mom and my sister had no idea what they were singing. And then like when I played them the original song, they were like, "Oh, this is what they're singing." Like. And I don't think it was that big a hit in France. I don't think R. Kelly.
It was no like ooh la la baby.
Right.
I was at a dance club in Moscow a couple of years ago, and it's like it's playing like house music, but everyone's Russian, and I'm there with my American girlfriend at the time, and everyone's dancing, everyone's having a good time, and then all of a sudden the DJ starts to play Chef's Chocolate Salty Balls, like the song, which is it's like a dance jam if you like hear it and don't know what the words are, and everyone's just sitting there and clapping at me.
They're like salty balls, salty balls.
Exactly. Nobody ever having any idea.
You don't think they're like they might be South Park fans out there?
Yeah, or maybe they just have, or maybe they just didn't have sense of humor because they took it really seriously and we could not stand. We were laughing so fucking hard.
Like they were dancing real cool.
Yeah, totally.
All right, pulling.
People were like grinding on each other.
I'm gonna pull a screaming, kicking back to the watering hole. Do you think so? This video, he wasn't able to sell it to like Nature Doc kind of stuff, and there wasn't. And he ended up putting it on YouTube because that was out. But like, it really wouldn't have been. So like, let's say this was 10 or 15 years prior, right? Would they have sold this to like America's Funniest Home Videos, or like where would
I don't know.
What do you think? Like,
wouldn't
do you
have
think it
had
would
a
have just
clear
like
outlet.
disappeared?
I mean, there's probably some lesser show that was similar to Funniest Home Videos that
Like
aired
Ripley's
amateur.
Believe It or Not or something.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's true. It may have gone unseen because the gatekeepers didn't know what they had.
Yeah, because he was using like a super, or like a high 8 or something like it was like looked like an old DV camera. I mean, this is
And it had like a big zoom.
mid-aughts.
Yeah,
so.
quality's not amazing, but it's good enough, and it had a good enough zoom on it that you can follow the action.
Yeah.
It's interesting with a lot of those viral videos, especially kind of at the beginning of things like YouTube and everything, where if you go back and watch them now, some of them are classics, but some of them are really they could have only done well because of the time that they were in. It's like the same thing with videos now that wouldn't make sense back then, or
Right.
it's
I
an
think
interesting thing.
too, like you also look at those early viral videos, and they have a certain like innocence about them,
Right?
Because they didn't know what they were doing. They were just probably posting it for their friends and family. They had no idea that a viral video was a thing. Like Charlie Bit Me. Like I don't think that guy had any idea that more than 100 people were ever going to see that video.
Right.
And nowadays, I feel like everyone who like films something like funny or incredible kind of expects, is going to post it online and be like, maybe this will be the next viral video.
Yeah, I mean, you say that, but then there's people who are like, they're the ones who sell the squirrel water skiing to the news, or you know what I mean? Like there are people who like, or they go and submit their like grandma caught on fire at the birthday party videos to America's Funniest Home Videos.
You mean like prior to the internet?
Prior to the internet.
Yeah, of course. But that's what I mean. Like I feel like
video.
those early days, like because the internet is so like unfiltered, and that was kind of a new thing, right? Like. And like once there was a platform like YouTube that like further, and an algorithm that further enhanced that,
Right.
I think before that, like with funniest home videos and all that stuff, there was a system, and there were like you said, like gatekeepers. There were people to sell it to, and now
Right.
it was a more innocent time where you would just put something online and not realize that this could reach millions of people.
Right. So
And
like
I think
Charlie
now,
But My Finger might have not made it through the processing of the tapes.
Yeah.
Back then, because
Right.
it would have been like, this is lame.
and the other thing,
It's fucking lame.
well, and the other thing too now is that like there's so many people there's just so many more people on YouTube that are there on purpose,
Right.
that know what they're doing, that are probably trying to manufacture those kind of scenarios.
Right.
Like you have like families who are YouTubers who are like,
Clickbait and all that shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
who
that
just have their
family who
kids.
like their kids
Oh,
got
yeah,
taken
yeah,
away
yeah.
from them. That fucking prank family. Can't you take a joke, kid? Come here, let me break your other arm. Can't you take a joke?
come on, stand on the porch.
Come on, don't you want to?
Stand-
We need more views and more subscribers if you want to pay for your therapy, you little shit. I'm gonna set your dog on fire. Oh man, could you take a joke?
Get back in the cage with your brother. I'm putting the blanket back on. You gotta sleep.
Come on, little Wolvie.
It's just a prank, bro.
It's just a prank. Why is your brother's wearing his Wolverine costume? Get in there.
No, if only he had a webcam in there.
God.
Oh my god.
An
Oh,
infrared
See,
webcam.
I think
Infrared webcam.
But see,
just
that's
a
the
pair
kind of stuff
glowing
too,
eyes and
though.
a
Like,
water
if
bottle.
you like, that's the kind of shit too, though, that you get. Like, if you have video of that, like, he would get death threats if he like flushed a gerbil down the toilet or whatever.
That also reminds me of something else I've seen on YouTube. Is there is this Japanese show where they take two animals
Oh, the
that don't
fight
normally interact and like put them together and see what happens. It's like snake versus scorpion and stuff like that.
Weird. Well, they also have a show where is it chocolate or is it candy?
Oh yeah.
So
Dude.
Wait, what?
do you not see that? so they'll give someone a shoe, and they'll bite the shoe, and sometimes it's just a shoe, and sometimes it's made of chocolate. So sometimes they'll put them in a room, and some things in the room are made of chocolate. So they'll they'll go to bite the handle of the door, and it's not a chrome handle; it's chocolate.
Wow.
Maybe the lion thought the wildebeest was chocolate.
That's
Jules.
right.
They were wrong.
How did they come up with this stuff?
I don't know.
They're amazing.
They certainly are.
Like I like how kind of like mundane and absurd the ideas are, but
I mean,
if you just take them all the way, it's kind of a.
They've effectively just been twiddling their thumbs since
What was
the
the
40s.
other
so-
one I saw recently? I mean, we'll get back off and on topic. So there's one where they tell these women they're like going to an audition or something, and they have them get in this elevator, and they hit the button, and the floor drops out, and as the floor drops out, they're sprayed with like petroleum or like KY jelly type stuff, and they go down a slide that's also full of KY jelly, and then and they're filmed falling, so there's like various stills and slow motion footage of their like contortions of face as they're like, what the hell's happening? And then they slide like on this huge long slip and slide for a while, all like jellied up or whatever. And then there's a guy there, like two officials in these things, and they like take out a measuring tape and see how far they slid, and they're like, they get them up and like, yeah, you went really far.
Yeah.
They're like, what?
How is that a show?
I don't know. And then there are people commentating on it.
Like after
amazing.
like the 5th time, I think I'd be like, okay, the novelty's wore off. Like,
I don't know. It's
but
so
there-
weird.
yeah, you're right. Well, so that reminds me, there was another crazy Japanese show where they would strap people to human catapults, so they were like
Oh, yeah.
over a cliff. But it was like
goodness.
it was basically like a catapult.
A human
Like a
catapult?
slingshot.
What do you mean
But
by
with
that?
like it looks like a giant catapult, and or like a giant slingshot, and it shoots people out, but
Yep.
they're attached over a cliff, but they're attached to a bungee cord.
Okay.
So, but you still have that experience of like until the bungee cord hits, you just
You're, like,
feel like
free
you're being
falling, yeah.
projected
Mhm.
over a cliff, and it's not. And these are all people who have never done anything like this before.
mhm.
And so they strap them into this contraption, and then they ask like their mothers to answer trivia questions. And if their mothers get the answer wrong, boom, they're catapulted. And
Usually
the other,
there's like fireworks and stuff.
yeah, and
too.
the other brilliant thing is they have like helmet cams on so there's a GoPro like right on their face, so you can watch their expression
as
through,
they're like
through
launched
the whole
in the air.
thing. And every time they're
That's
like,
amazing.
no, mama, no.
No, mama, no.
Yeah, it'll be like fireworks start going off, and then
Yeah, like a rock.
That's amazing.
And that does not get tiring.
Yeah.
I could
Yeah,
watch
it does.
that a lot.
did the Battle of Kruger ever get tiring?
No, it never does. I mean, I've not like watched it over and over again, but I'll come across it every couple of years, and it's always a good time.
Jules, we think you got a little bit of a problem. You've just been binge watching the Battle of Kruger
Yeah.
for 7 straight months. What's going on, buddy? Starting to smell like a water buffalo.
Wildebeests can't melt steel beams. What's going on? This means something. You've sculpted a crocodile out of smashed potatoes. So where can people find the Battle of Kruger?
On YouTube, and you can also find links to the video and related commentary on our website, newtoyoushow.com.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the National Geographic documentary, like you linked to it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I don't know, you get some background story. Like I just kind of skipped through it to the interviews.
So
But it's just, it's what is nice. You get some experts talking about stuff, like how they identify, factoids about how old lions are based on the color of their nose or whatever.
Right.
But it's
But
not. It's,
mostly it's just
the
padding.
video is what's compelling.
Yeah, it's mostly just padding around the video. It's for, grandmas who didn't know what YouTube was.
Yeah.
So they could enjoy it.
Good pick, Jules. Good watering hole pick. What's the theme?
Oh my god.
Gonna get the baby.
Oh my god.
I'll get the baby.
She's
Watch.
going for him. She's going for him. She got him. Oh, she did. She got him.
Hey, these gunnies just popped their buffalo yet.
Such a question, there are many possible answers, such as hard work.
Feel I'm alone in this whole of existence. I know it takes time, but I'm losing my persistence. The distance is too far to fetch, so I sketch on pages and hope that some catch the thoughts of my inverted worded music. No trial and error, just emotion when I do this. Focus on each beat, more so than you wasting time in front of your television.
Hey everybody, thanks for listening to another episode of the New to You Show. We're wrapping up our watering hole series. The pick that we've been teasing this whole time, which I probably talked about in the first episode.
You mean Keith's pick?
Keith's pick was Casablanca, the classic Moroccan watering hole movie under occupation during World War II and French resistance fighters. And Rick, you got to help me. It's not my knife. That sort of stuff. A little good times. And bogarting, and play it, Sam. Not play it again, Sam.
Right.
That's a factoid that I won a bet with our science teacher about back in school.
Oh, did you
Because he
really?
was, into making allusions to that kind of stuff. And I was like, he doesn't say that, dude. That Play It Again, Sam was a Woody Allen movie. And he's like, you're wrong. And I'm like, if I'm right, we get to watch Casablanca in class.
Wow.
And so, boom, I made everyone have to watch Casablanca.
All right.
Nice. And
Wow.
it's sad that he got fired for gambling.
Mhm.
But,
He made some off-color jokes too. He was a nice guy. I don't know. He wasn't a nice guy. You can't really say. I'm not going to stand behind
he was
him.
a nice
He made a bunch of
racist.
kids write pro,
Yeah.
write
He was-
anti.
Yeah, in chemistry class. It's like, I don't know about this. Can we just go back to distilling apple cider? Is that
Yeah, so
making our Applejack?
if Keith had been able to make it, we
We could
would
have
have
talked
enjoyed
about
that.
the Casablancas.
But he's not here, so.
But
John,
who is here?
You are.
Me.
What's new to you this week?
Well,
John?
before we get into what's new to me, I'm one of your hosts, John Holt. You can find me on Twitter at Lord Joho, and you can find me on Instagram at board_ghost, and you can find my RPG podcast where we've been playing some new games recently. We're up to probably 8 or 9 games in total that we use to make our stories at boardghost.com. Jules, where can people find you?
Well, wait, hold on. Let's clarify. It's a storytelling role-playing game podcast. So they're games which involve all the players creating a story together.
Except for one where we didn't do that.
Except for one where they do. But, generally, as a rule, there are exceptions. But as
collaborative storytelling.
And so
using games as a structure.
And so it's really fun to listen to because you hear these, very talented people come up with, put together.
That's a lot of air quotes.
Yeah, a lot of air quotes. Put together a fun story, just making it up on the spot, and some fun stuff comes up.
Jules, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at BeautifulJules. How about you, Casey?
You can find me also on Instagram at casey.drogin, Drogin, for all kinds of cool 3D renders and illustrations and just all kinds of weird dark stuff.
Cool.
Darkness.
All right.
Like my gerbil cage.
So, Jules, you asked me what was new to me.
Yes.
So, a couple things. Specifically, I went down because I was enjoying Matt Berry again. I've talked about his stuff like Garth Marenghi's Dark Place and that kind of stuff before, and the Snuff Box. He's a British comedian, but he has a project. He did a little. I mean, it's hard to tell because they do a lot of stuff that's period, so it's hard to tell when it was from. But there was a rock opera that he made called ADBC, which is the story of the innkeeper who turned away Jesus, or turned away Joseph and Mary, but his tale is told with rock. So that was one that I enjoyed watching. And then the other one that I found was actually
and it's also you can tell it's a send off of Jesus Christ Superstar.
Oh yeah, so it's a straight rip of that. The other one, and then I also found a series called Unnatural Acts, which is from '98, but I think it's the sort of seed program where Noel Fielding, Matt Berry, the other dude in Snuff Box, all these guys had a little skit show, and it's not very good, but it's interesting to see them starting to play with their style of humor and the format and get things kind of rolling.
So you can kind of see their evolution.
Yeah. So it's not fully formed, but it's neat to kind of see where they come up from. So that was neat, and you can see that a lot of those on YouTube. So Unnatural Acts, and then for something that's a little more evolved in the Matt Berry weird style, especially if you like JC Superstar, it has all the Mighty Boosh guys in it. ADBC, a rock store.
It's very amusing.
So I recommend, and those are all findable on YouTube and stuff. So yeah, it's good. Awesome. That's my new to me. So next week we're starting a new topic. We're gonna start 3 Spooky 5 Me. It'll be our third.
It's 3 Spooky 5 You.
Yeah, it'll be our third spooky episode since it's our third season. And there you go, you edgelords. So we're gonna start with Candle Cove, which is a creepypasta turned sci-fi chapter in the Sci-Fi's American Horror Story horror platform. So Chris Straub's creepypasta Candle Cove is a good place to start on his Icker Falls blog. And then if you want to go check out the Sci-Fi Network website, you can watch I think you can watch all 6 episodes on there. And the second season just started, also based on a creepypasta called The No End House, which is very Toad Road. And we'll talk to that with our guests. We're going to have 5 people in the studio next week. So all kinds of new stuff.
So watch the sci-fi show and then come back next week.
And we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
The end.
And we'll explain all the weird words we use, like horror pasta or whatever. Well, please explain all of those things.
We'll get to all that.
Okay, good.
Cool. So check that out. And we'll be here. Casey, again, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a blast having you for these 3 weeks.
Oh, thank you for having me.
New show.
Had a hell of a time.
You weren't new to us, but you were new to the show.
And so maybe you were new. It was new to you, our audience.
Sure. Yeah. But it was great. Crowd Crush, great pick. And it was good having you on for all these shows.
Hopefully we crushed it.
Yeah, we did.
I'm going to strap that joke to me and
launch you off a cliff?
And launch over a cliff into a crowd.
So maybe it wasn't new?
Maybe, well, to find out more.
Oh, I messed it up.
Stuff. To find out more about what we've got coming up and what you heard about on the show and more Watering Hole info and the guests and hosts, go to newshow.com. You can follow us on Twitter at New to You Show, and you can follow/subscribe on your favorite podcast listening device or app, or Apple iTunes Store, or on iTunes straight up. So we're all kinds of all over the internet. Usually if you can find a podcast there, you can find our podcast there. Just search for New to You. Also share the show. Let people know about it. Leave us a review. That helps us get up in the charts a little bit. But let people know if you
and tell your grandma what a podcast is.
Yeah.
And then tell her about our show.
Yeah.
Because
And
it's
then
the first podcast you should hear.
tell
and
her
then
to
she'll love
tell
podcasts forever.
all the people at the nursing home about us.
You got in a fight at Kroger's?
Yeah. So yeah, tell your grandma all about us, because we're looking to meet some grandmas.
Sure.
I love those golden girls.
That's right.
Yeah. So gang, it may not be new,
but baby,
Baby,
it's
new
new
to
to
you.
you.
Oh, look, it's a crocodile.
But I gotta keep moving. This pitiful life is all about the music. 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 This pitiful life is all about the music.
With him together forever, without the limitation of time, ever again. So the second coming of the Lord is